Voila! Back to trying to get this shuttle PC running SteamOS. It's actually the same day. I've just had a bit of time to think, explore other options. Looking at the BIOS, we can see that this has a Pentium G4400 running at 3.3 gigahertz. I don't know if that's any good. I'll have to have a look at what that's capable of. Confirms the 4 gigabyte of memory. M.2, so this might have an M.2 or NVMe slot on the underside of the motherboard. Some CPU stats, yep, hardware health, yeah, boot order. Now this is something I want to explore. So this has an SD card reader slot. So what I'm going to try and do is, on here, you can see that 16 gigabytes of SD card that Bellina is currently putting that image onto. Oh, boot from card reader. There it is, it's enabled. That should work. Let Bellina finish doing its thing and see if it can actually read the SD card. Moment of truth. However, I don't think this is going to work. UEFI is now enabled. Wait, let's turn it off and back on. Alright. This is a bit sideways. Okay, so this confirms pretty much everything that I've just been reading. Normally in this instance I would say to myself, well, you're a dumbass, you didn't do your research. But this time, no, that's not the case, because I was following what was essentially supposedly supposed to be up-to-date information on the Valve, Steam website. There's all these specs, blah blah blah. Now the one thing obviously I did point out is that it's weird that when you go to download this, obviously it does say SteamOS deck image, and then when it does download, what you end up with is this Steam Deck repair disk image, which is what's currently living on this SD card thanks to Bellina Etcher. But as you just saw, it's doing weird things. What it's expecting at that stage is to be talking to other devices, which does not exist. Lots of other people asking the same questions. SteamOS no longer actually exists as a thing for building your own Steambox, mini Steambox, whatever. We should be using Holo ISO. Is an attempt to recreate SteamOS 3, which was the discontinued SteamOS. Options are either running this and, Intel GPU random experience, which isn't great. My next best option is, what I'm currently burning, is Xubuntu, so a nice lightweight Ubuntu operating system, Ubuntu 16.04. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's all it supports. I reckon the reason this says 16.04 is because this shuttle PC was manufactured in 2016. Gonna put Ubuntu 22.04 on there, minimal install, put Steam on there and see how that performs. So let's wait for this to finish flashing, boot it up and install and see what happens. Take two. Pop that. It's not going in. Wow, that's tough. Cool. Go for that option. Let's get Xubuntu installed. Take it from there, I suppose. So you might be wondering, why am I planning on running... Why am I trying to game on a potato? Well, for starters, look how cheap you can buy some of these. Let's take this as an example. So this one's got slightly better spec. 8 gigabyte of RAM. It's actually got 2 hard drives, SSD and a HDD, although it's got a Celeron processor, so that's slightly worse. Same with this one, it's cheap. This one even better still, 10th gen CPU, good stuff. You don't have to have a big box like that. It's a tiny little box, you can fit it behind a TV. Now looking at this Pentium toaster mechanism inside the box, yeah, it's not the latest thing, like I said, but it still runs at decent speeds, 3.3 gigahertz. Let's have a look over at what we can play. So according to GPU Compare, it will play at minimum specs 29% of the top games currently released. With recommended specs, it will only play 8% of those games. These games, GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Cyberpunk, Fortnite, apparently it will play Fortnite. Crazy. Warzone, AAA type stuff. I'm not looking to play any of these games on there. I want to load up old stuff like I've got Sonic and maybe Age of Empires. Whoa. If anything, this will be casual gaming thing, almost like an arcade gamer that the kids can play on. Because if I want to do any gaming, if I want to go have an online session on GTA 5, or if I want to pull my hair out over Warzone, I've got this thing here, and I've also got an Xbox One. Speaking of potatoes, this screen is terrible. Anyway, filter by Linux only. There we go, Sega Mega Drive Classic. So this is the kind of thing I'm more interested in running, and just hook it up with a controller, let the kids go wild. Okay, admittedly this was not as good as an idea. Actually no, probably a good idea. Terrible results. I've just tried loading up this Mega Drive Classics thing, and I think there's a resolution issue because this is only a 720p screen and it doesn't quite fit on here, so it doesn't really render properly. Now all of these other titles here that I thought, oh wow, yeah, we can play them. Notice this here where it says stream. That's obviously because on the same network I've got my main PC connected, so this game would actually run on there and just stream the video to here. Same with pretty much everything else. Yeah, there are a few exceptions. So apparently some Codemasters titles can be installed. Don't even know what that is. Maybe I need to rethink what my purpose is going to be with this potato toaster. Maybe I'll set it up as a like old NES emulator type thing instead. Should be plenty powerful enough for that. The only thing I would have to add is running Steam at startup, running automatically in big picture mode, which isn't hard at all on Linux. That's something that's really easy to do. Kind of a failed experiment, but I have learned something which is good. So it's now the next day, and after a little bit of tinkering, here is the final result. Still a very noisy fan. I haven't cleaned them yet. Voila! That's probably a quicker boot time than the Xbox. All I'd have to do is getting rid of the mouse pointer, or at least hiding it. I think I have invested enough time in this. Yeah, the interface is pretty, but the only thing that's playable on here currently is this, and apparently the games on there are crap. Also, you do need a controller. Let's shut this down. Power down command does actually work, so that's a nice little touch.